How's it going, guys? Limo here with another vanilla or classic WoW gold making guide. Today we're going to look at making gold as a druid in Dire Maul East by farming Whip Lashers. Shout out to Cargos for developing this PowerPoint template. Today we're going to be going over the key features of farming Dire Maul East, and afterwards there will be a video demonstration on how it is done. So let's jump right into it. So some of you guys might be thinking, why even do Dire Maul East? What is so special about Dire Maul East? Well, Dire Maul East is one of the top gold farming locations in vanilla / classic World of Warcraft, and it is typically farmed in one of two ways. So the most common way that Dire Maul East is farmed is by AoE farming the Whip Lasher mobs. Now this is normally done by mages and priests, and you'll often see videos of those two classes doing this AoE farming. Now the other way that this instance is farmed is by doing jump runs, which is typically done by a duo, normally a warrior and the healer. It can be any healer, and normally this is a bit more profitable due to being able to do more of the instance and farm more nodes such as mining nodes and herbing nodes. However, this video is just going to go over how druids, even with low gear, can easily farm Dire Maul East Whip Lasher AoE packs. Now, as I said before, everybody knows that mages can farm Dire Maul East for gold. People say it is one of the best ways to farm gold outside of farming Devil Soul Leather. Now, one thing to remember is there is an instance reset cap of 5 per hour. What this means is, irregardless of how fast you do the instance, if you do it more than 5 times in a 1 hour period, you cannot do it anymore. What this means is, if you can complete this instance in roughly under 10 minutes, there is no class that is doing it faster than you, because they will be locked by the instance reset cap. Now, the reason I bring that up is because when Druid gold farming is brought up, they are often described as only really being able to do gathering professions or Dire Maul East duo jump runs, or sometimes Dire Maul North duo tribute runs. Now, this guide and my previous guide for Moradon princess farming aims to show that druids, even freshly dinged druids, do have other ways that they can farm gold outside of gathering professions and duo runs. I feel like this is especially important for people to know going into Classic WoW, because a lot of people now might not have the time that they used to have when playing Classic WoW. So being able to do some solo farming relatively easily without being disturbed and not be too affected by the auction house prices might be the only way for some people to be able to farm gold. And the misconception that druids cannot do solo instance farming needs to be addressed. Now, I'm going to play a couple of video clips from a popular Classic WoW YouTuber, Alex Central, where he goes through some of the best gold making methods for different classes in Vanilla WoW. The first clip is going to go over some of his thoughts regarding mage AoE farming in Dire Maul East and the benefits of this and how much gold it can make. The second one is when he talks about druid gold farming. Now, before the druid clip, he does mention that druids are very good at farming herbs. Now, as said before, this is well known, but the fact that druids can farm Dire Maul East is not mentioned in his clip. But he does go over the fact that druids can potentially solo princess in Moradon, which my previous video showed is very easy.
And also DM East, mages, not only in DM East, there's the jump runs, there's also these lasher packs. When you jump down below, as soon as you enter DM East, that can be AoE farmed. And they sell a lot of vendor grays that sell for a lot, and a lot of various herbs down there that you can sell, and that, depending on the server, and depending on if it's nerfed or not on Classic, you can make a fair amount of gold farming DM East Lashers. It's one of the main ways people farmed gold on Nostarius. It's up to debate if that was like or not. For Druids and Paladins, it's also ways apparently that Druids are doing Marauding now with Hunters and Warlocks. I don't know how viable it is, but as from my experience and my research, it seems that Druids can, to a degree, solo Marauding, so that might be a good alternative for farming gold for you. And
Okay, so again, those were video clips from Alex Central. His YouTube channel will be in the description below. Most of you probably already know about him anyway. Okay, so let's go over some of the pros and cons of Dire Maul East Whip Lasher AoE farming. The number one positive thing about this farming method is it is very easy. There is only one difficult part of this farming method, and it is the initial jump down to the floor, which will be explained in detail further on in this guide. Other things to consider when doing this farm are that it is not 100% reliant on the auction house, because the grey items which you pick up from the lashers can be vended for quite a high price. Also, you cannot be ganked easily unless you are running to the instance portal during resets. This means that this farm is quite good for watching Netflix or YouTube on your second monitor, as you do not need to pay too much attention. There is also a high income of gold, enough to easily afford an epic mount within a few days of farming. This was what I did on Northdale to get my epic mount. And you will hit the instance reset cap. If it's good enough for mages, why not for druids? Now, some of the downsides to this farm include the potential to get ganked to the instance portal. I know I said this is a benefit, but still, it can happen. Sometimes you get a few sneaky rogues outside of where you get ported when you reset, and you might die. It's just a quick 1 or 2 minute run back, and you're fine, so don't worry too much about that. Additionally, it's quite easy to die doing this method if executed poorly, leading to high repair costs. Also, there is some practice involved in this method. Like I said before, it is very easy, and the only thing that you need to practice is the jump from the ledge. And sometimes you can get very unlucky, and the serrated petal drop chance can be very low. The serrated petal is one of the things that gives you the most gold income during this method. So let's look at what we're actually farming during this method of farming Dire Maul East. Typically, you make gold from vendor trash, herbs, and assorted greens, blues, and epics. Somewhat strangely, the items that will most likely net you the most gold are the vendor trash, which will be explained on the next slide. Now, as you can see in the tooltip icon on the screen, there is a chance of getting some epics. For example, I have killed 4,114 Whip Lashers, and I have had 2 epics drop. So some of you may be thinking that that sounds quite strange, that most of the gold is made from the vendor trash. Well, there are 3 types of vendor trash items which we are interested in for this run. These are serrated petal, thorny vine, and lasher root. These items sell for between 17 silver to 61 silver. These items drop very often from the Whip Lashers and will make up the majority of your income. Now, some other items of interest that can drop from the Whip Lashers include pretty much any herb in the game, all the way from Peace Bloom up to Dreamfoil. Now, the only herb that does not drop, in my experience, is the Black Lotus. This means that the Whip Lashers can drop things such as Grom's Blood, Dreamfoil, Fade Leaf, and other in-demand herbs. You can also, with enough herbalism skill, I believe roughly 280, herb the various herbing nodes located within Dire Maul East, which typically is Dreamfoil and Grom's Blood. The Whip Lashers also have a chance of dropping greens, blues, and epics, just like any other mob. The 2 epics which I have received from Whip Lashers are the Eye of Flame and Destiny, leading me to believe that the Whip Lashers can drop epics from the 49+ range. However, it is difficult to verify that. Now, some key things to take into consideration when doing Dire Maul East as a druid. Firstly, it is only really viable at level 60 due to rank 3 Hurricane only being available at level 60. Now, this method is likely possible with any spec, however, I highly recommend Nature's Swiftness as a panic button if you fail the jump and pull the Whip Lashers below. Now, this method requires approximately 3,399 mana to be successful. This will be explained on the next slide. The key combat stats that you need for this method are anything that deals damage when you're hit, items that give you the Thorns effect. This can include trinkets, for example. You also need enough mana to be able to cast all of the spells, which will be explained on a future slide. And lastly, you need lots of HP and armor. This is because you are getting hit very often by the lashes, and the Thorns effect on items deals quite a considerable amount of your damage, so you just need to survive. Now, the most difficult thing about this method is learning the jump, which might take a few tries. And finally, all of this is subject to change based on nerfs, buffs, and mob pathing changes which Blizzard may make during Classic. Now, you might be thinking, why the mana requirement? What's all that about? Well, to be able to farm the Whip Lashers, you must use 7 spells, and one of them doesn't cost any mana. So your rotation on every single Whip Lasher pull is the following. First, pre-cast Regrowth, rank 9, and then cast Moonfire, rank 1, to pull one of the Lashers back towards you. Next, cast Rejuvenation to get the hot running on you. Then cast Bark Skin in order for your Hurricane spell to not be interrupted or pushed back by being hit by the Lashers. Next, cast Hurricane rank 3 to AoE the pack down. Once Hurricane is finished, use Dire Bear form, and then spam swipe until the mobs die. Now, if there's only a few mobs left, you can use Maul instead. It might be more efficient. So all of those spells together equal 3,399 total mana required. Now, a thing to note, this does include having 3 out of 3 natural shapeshifter talented, which reduces the cost of entering Dire Bear form by 30%. So if you do not have 3 out of 3 natural shapeshifter, you may need more mana. Additionally, you may be able to do this with less mana than 3,399, depending on your in-combat mana regen. You may be able to regen enough mana to be able to cast Dire Bear form as your Hurricane spell ends. Now, if you do not have enough mana and you cannot immediately enter Dire Bear form after Hurricane has finished its cast, you will have a very difficult time in being able to do this farming method. Now, the final slide before we get into the video. This slide explains what the jump is and how to do it properly. Now, the jump is the only difficult part of this run. It is the only time you will die if you're not AFK, getting ganked outside the instance portal, or being dismounted by ogres when running towards the instance portal. It is very simple once you learn it, and hopefully the diagram on this slide and the video to follow will help you understand how to correctly do the jump. Basically, stay slightly to the left of the red dashed arrow, avoid the patrol at the bottom, which is indicated by the orange circle, and avoid the big mobs, which are indicated by the green line and the blue line. The first part of this video will just demonstrate how to get to the side entrance of Dire Maul East. Once you get inside Dire Maul, you want to heal up and get to full mana before pulling the Whip Lashers. On Northdale, there is 2 patrols that patrol over the top of the Whip Lashers. It is quite important to pull them at the correct time so that the packs do not pull. Now in this attempt you can see that I mistimed my Moonfire, so the patrolling pack did in fact pull. But all this means is that I have to go outside of the instance, wait a couple of seconds and then go back in the instance, and the patrols should have reset. Once you are back inside the instance, you need to wait for the patrol to clear the Whip Lasher packs so that you can pull the Whip Lashers without pulling the patrol. So what you want to do is precast Regrowth on yourself to get the heal over time rolling, cast Moonfire on one of the Whip Lashers so they run towards you, cast Rejuvenation to get that hot rolling on you, use Bark Skin, and then cast Hurricane for the full channel of Hurricane. When Hurricane has completed its cast, you go into Dire Bear form and spam Swipe. And if done correctly, you should be nowhere near dying. You can see now my health is at least 50%, meaning that even with some good pieces of gear, there is still plenty of health left over to compensate for people potentially having less gear at the start of a vanilla server. You can see from this one pull, I got 1 Thorny Vine and 3 Lasher Roots. This is equivalent to 81 silver. And that is just from the vendor trash. It does not include any more money that could potentially be made by selling the various herbs that drop. So now comes the most difficult part of this farm, the jump. First of all, you need to avoid the 2 big mobs to the left and to the right. Next, you need to follow this line as indicated by my cursor. You need to be slightly to the left of that line when you're jumping. Next, you need to avoid the patrol at the bottom, which is going to patrol past the pack of Whip Lashers you are going to kill. You need to wait a few seconds for them to 100% clear the Lashers. Once they are clear, you need to aim for one of the diamonds on the path, and you will see that I will land on it just now. If done correctly, there is no chance of pulling the Lashers or the big Lasher to the side of the mini Lashers. And then it's just a case of rinse and repeat from the first Lasher pack which was killed earlier. Now, all you need to do is avoid pulling the patrolling mobs when you're killing Lashers. If you cast Moonfire on a Lasher pack whilst the patrol is near it, the patrol will pull and then you will die. Now remember, the rotation for pulling the Whip Lashers is precast Regrowth to get the heal over time rolling, cast Moonfire rank 1 on one of the Whip Lashers to pull it towards you, then cast Rejuvenation to get the hot on yourself as the Whip Lashers are running towards you. Then you want to cast Bark Skin, Hurricane, and then once Hurricane is finished, you cast Dire Bear form and spam Swipe until all of the mobs have died. The reason that I recommend the Nature's Swiftness talent when doing this farming method is that when you originally jump down from the ledge, there is a small chance, if done incorrectly, that you can pull this pack of Lashers which was just killed. Now, if you do not have Nature's Swiftness available, you cannot instantly cast the Regrowth spell, which significantly reduces your survivability whilst doing this pull, mainly because of the fall damage taken when jumping off of the ledge and from the lack of the heal over time effect when you are killing the Lasher packs with Hurricane and Swipe. Another trick is to gather all of the herbs only after all of the Lashers have died. This is in case you die whilst gathering a herb which is close to one of the big Lashers. if you accidentally pull, you can release to the graveyard, run back into the side entrance and quickly reset the instance. Whereas if you die and there is Lasher Pack still alive, it takes a lot longer. This was a pretty lackluster run in terms of pure vendor trash gold value. As you can see, I only got 2 serrated petal, 1 thorny vine and 6 slasher root. This is the equivalent of 2 gold and 54 silver from just vendor value. Now, as you can see, I also got 5 Grom's Blood, which is worth a significant amount on the auction house, along with the other herbs which can fetch a fair price also. You can see in the video that I am trying to demonstrate some macros which are used during this run. So this could change when Classic is released due to differences between how macros on vanilla private servers work and how macros on the Legion client work. The macros used during this run include ResetInstances and Logout macro, and the swipe macro, which automatically starts auto attacking nearby mobs. These will be in the description of the video. However, like I just said, these may not be required come Classic WoW due to changes in macros. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was a long one, but hopefully some people may find it useful. If anyone has any feedback regarding the video, please let me know. Cheers guys.